Hello folks, how you doing? I've just been having a little look around the Codeigniter user guide and it's occurred to me that we haven't done any encryption so far, and it's probably a good thing to know, okay? And in fact we can use it in this video. So I'd like to start this one with a little Codeigniter timeout, and I'd like to do some encryption stuff just to show you how this works, okay? So if I could ask you to open up the cart module, and we'll make up a little function called test, and then I want you to make up a string that we'll call, we'll say equal to hello blue sky, right? So that's our string, and then we're going to load up a module, and it's going to be the site security module, and I'm going to say encrypted, that's not right, encrypted string is this site security underscore encrypt. Oh gee, why do I have problems with that? There we go. String. Okay, so we haven't made this up yet, but it's actually pretty easy, and let me show you how this works. You'll remember that we had a vibe with hashing strings, okay? So doing encryption is pretty much the same kind of gig. From the user guide, the vibe is we load up our encryption library, okay? Now, by the way, in config.php, you'll have a encryption key here, and an encryption key right here, 32 digits, and it should look something like that, okay? And when we're going to be doing this encryption vibe, let me just bring this up here. It's going to look at that encryption key, which is in the config folder, right? And if we just have a quick look down here, I'm just going to do the most basic example possible, actually. So it would be something like this. Okay, that's the vibe. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to say encrypted string is that blah 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 encrypt, and what's it going to encrypt? It's going to encrypt the string and return encrypted string. And it just occurred to me that when I was doing the hash stuff, I called it str. Maybe I should be consistent and just do that here. Anyway, that's all there is to it, okay? That's encryption. And then to decrypt a string, we just do the exact same again, except wherever you say CEN, change it to DE. So instead of encryption, it's decryption, and that's all there is to it. Yes, you can change the default encryption library. Yes, you can do all of that kind of stuff, but we're just going to stick with the basics, okay? So here's how it works. If we now do something like, well, let me just get the decrypted string actually. We'll just do that while we can. Decrypted string is that. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to say string is string. Do one of those little vibes here like that. Okay, and then I'm going to say encrypted string is encrypted string, and then I'm going to say decrypted string is, and I think I've got a variable wrong somewhere. The decrypted thing is going to happen to the encrypted string. That's the vibe, okay? So let's give this a test. If we go to cart/test, you should see something like that. So as you can see, we've got the original string at the top, hello blue sky, then it's encrypted, and then it's decrypted, right? And if we refresh, you'll notice that it changes, but the decryption is very solid, okay? So that's kind of cool. Now I'm going to move forward and take this idea a little bit further. Let me show you the vibe. I'd like you to copy that stuff and we'll make up a test 2, okay? So test 2 is obviously going to look exactly the same as test 1. It's going to look something like that. Except with test2, I'm going to say something like, let me have a look. I'll say something like third bit is this URI segment 3, okay? And I'll say if third bit is not empty, if it's not empty, then encrypted string is this URI, is actually third bit, okay? Otherwise, then we're going to say encrypted string is string blah 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 blah. Fair enough, right? Pretty straightforward, nothing too complicated there. I hope that shouldn't be too much trouble. And what I'm going to do is, let me just have a think here. I think what I'll do is I'll create a new encrypted string so that we've got a new one each time, okay? So the new encrypted string is going to be that, okay? And then I'm just going to say echo anchor, and we'll make it go to cart test2 / we'll add on the new encrypted string, and we'll just say refresh. Okay, so check this out. If we hit refresh, site security, oh sorry, I need to move this upstairs. Here we go, something like that. Okay, and no surprises. This is what I wanted to show you actually. You can see that this changes all the time, okay? And if we look at the bottom right, it's probably hard to see right there, but can you see that the link changes as well, okay? Now the vibe is, in this next section of the online shop, I'm going to be passing an encrypted string across one or two URLs, right? It should be fine. But I'm a wee bit nervous because, as you can see, these encrypted strings have disallowed characters, and specifically the disallowed characters are plus symbols and equal signs. Do you see the equal sign there? And that's kind of uncool. I see we've also got forward slashes as well, and that's a bit uncool also. So we've got 3 characters there that are kind of uncool. Now I can tell you folks something. If you look on Stack Overflow, there are people who are recommending that if we go to this permitted URI characters thing, they're saying, well look, you can do actually I'll just do this on a new line. There are some who would say, well, why not just do backslash that and then backslash equals, and everybody's happy, right? So if we do that and hit refresh, you'll see that it works, okay? But actually, I don't feel too good about that, because I think there's reasons why these characters were not allowed in the first place, and also we've still got that miserable forward slash thing to deal with. So I'm not going to recommend doing that, right? We're back to the disallowed vibe. But what I'm going to do is on cart, I'm going to make up 2 functions. I'm going to make up one that's a private one, and it will be called create checkout token. And it does this with a session ID. You probably don't have a clue what it does, but just relax. I promise it's going to be really easy, right? So what this is going to do is it's going to take in a session ID, and it's going to get an encrypted string like this, okay? And then I'm going to remove the dodgy characters. And I'm not going to do it by messing with config or doing anything clever. I'm going to do it in the most basic way possible. So let me just say something like, if I say checkout token equals string replace, and I'm going to replace, let's do the plus sign. So we'll replace that with dash plus dash, and I'll do that to the encrypted string. And then I'm going to do a couple more of these, and I'll change this vibe here so that says encrypted string. Sorry, so that's I'm sorry, we want these to say checkout token. Okay, and the other characters we're going to get rid of are the forward slash. Okay, so I'll just say something like FWRD, that will do us. And what was the other one? The equal sign. Okay, so I'll just do dashes and then I'll say EQLS. That'll do. Okay, doesn't bother me. There's no security risk here, folks. Nothing dodgy is going to happen. It's all cool, right? So I'm just going to return this checkout token. Okay, and now I'm going to make up another one, and it's going to be called get session ID from token. Okay, so get session ID from token, what's that going to do? Well, it's going to take in one of those things called checkout tokens, and it's going to basically do the opposite of this stuff here. So let me just do something like that, and I'm going to say decrypt up here. Okay, and let me just get my act together here. So this is going to be session ID. Session ID, okay, and we're going to reverse this vibe here. So plus is going to become I've just realized that this decrypt thing should be underneath this. Okay, that's cool. So the FWRD thing, that's going to become a forward slash, and the dash equals thing, EQLS, that's going to become an equals sign, right? So that's that, and the first one it does it to is of course checkout token. That's the vibe, and I'm just going to say session ID is decrypt, something like that. Session ID is that, session ID is that, session ID is that, yep, return session ID. Okay, cool. So that's some nice stuff, and let me show you where this is all going. Okay, I really hope this stuff works, but here is the vibe. When we go on to the shopping cart, folks, like so, and we have something in the shopping basket. Okay, so we're going to add to cart. Right, with this vibe here, go to checkout, okay? The last thing that we want to happen is they go here, they mess about for a wee while, and then they go back here, and the page is empty. That would be a highly uncool thing. But the other thing that would be nice as well was if when they click no thanks, wouldn't it be nice if we remembered that they said no thanks and we gave them permission to go in, right? Do you know what I'm saying? So just relax, follow along, and it will all become very clear, right? So we've got this vibe cart go to checkout, right? Now let me just have a wee look at that. Now that's go to checkout, the kind of fake button thing. Can you see that, right? Now I had a wee dilemma in the last video. Do we pass the query? Do we not pass the query? Well, guess what? Yes, I'm going to pass it. Okay, here we go. And I'm just going to say for each query, loading up result, as row, I'm going to say session ID is row session ID, okay? And then I'm going to go data checkout token is this, what was it called again? Get, what was it again? I can't remember the name of it. Create checkout token, that's the one, that's the one. So here we go. Create checkout token, okay? And I'm going to pass that in to this checkout button fake thing. So if we open up checkout button fake, and we've got this URL here, well, now I'm going to pass in the checkout token. So if we hit refresh, hold on, cart line 12, okay, something daft, something daft. Sorry, that's going to be check session ID, right? Okay, here we go. So if we look at this go to checkout, do you see how it's got a big massive string in the URL there, okay? And you can see that upstairs here, okay? Now, if we can just bring this page up, go to checkout, and by the way, that should probably be a thumbs down. That red button there, okay? Something like that. And if they click no thanks, right? If they click no thanks, then I think I'm gonna pass in that checkout token thing. Okay, so I'm gonna need to go to this go to checkout vibe here. Okay, and I'll say data checkout token is this URI segment 3. So this page here now has a checkout token as a hidden variable, okay? And if we do that, and I'm just going to go to no thanks so you can see that, and there it is, okay? So we've got the checkout token. It's a cool vibe. So what happens now? Well, if we go to cart submit choice, and it lives somewhere about here, the vibe is that if submit is no thanks, then I'm going to redirect them back to the cart index page. So I'm going to show them the cart, okay? The only difference is I'm going to pass that checkout token onto the URL, right? So if we just do something like that, there we go, right? So if we now say no thanks here, it's taken us back to the cart, and if you look up the URL, we'll see we've got this huge checkout token thing here. Now that's going to come in pretty handy because it's going to serve two purposes. Let me just show you what I mean here. If we go to cart and we go to index, right? Well, do you see how we've got this session ID is this session ID and all of that stuff, okay? Well, we've got 1, 2, 3, right? Okay, so we've got the third bit is this URI segment 3. And I'm going to say if third bit is not empty, then the session ID is this, and then I'm going to say something like check and get session ID, and it's going to do that with this third bit, okay? So here's what's happening. I'll just paste this in, you'll see what I mean. So the vibe is, if the third bit, if the third segment of the URL, URI, who knows, right? If this bit, this third bit, sorry, is not empty, this bit here, then I'm going to check that this is a valid thing, you know, that we can convert this into a meaningful session ID. And then I'm going to return the session ID if that's a goer, okay? So I'll just do this as a comment so you can see what's happening. So the vibe is, check that the token is cool, then get the session ID. And by the way, if any one of you guys has ever used the Yi framework, or you've thought about using Yi 2, this is very similar to the kind of thing that Yi 2 does. It really does a lot of this idea of doing two things with one function, and it's kind of confusing at first because you're used to one thing at a time, and you know, you do validation and it's just one little function and you're like, how did that happen? But remember folks, it's quite easy. We can do more than one thing at a time. So I'm going to do this check and get session ID, okay? And it's going to be looking at this checkout token, right? So the first thing we'll do is we'll get the session ID from the the token here, right? So get session ID from token. Here we go. One of my YouTube debates going on the top right hand side of the screen here. Echo session ID die. So let's just refresh. Okay. Hello. It is. Okay. So there's obviously something that's not quite right about this checkout token business. Let me just run through this and make sure it's cool. So we've got the checkout token there, and the session ID is that, session ID is that, and echo session ID, do a die statement here. Okay, that's all right actually, / everything looks good. Site security, decrypt string. That should actually be okay. Now it is session ID. Okay. Now that is kind of weird, Ah, there we go, you see the plus thing? That was the error. Right, okay. Sorry about that, folks. That's why we test things, Okay. So we've now got the session ID, right? Check and get session ID, right? Excellent. The next question is, now by the way, if the session ID does not equal that, right, we know that, in fact, if the session ID does equal that, let's just take them back to the base URL, okay? Back to the home page, you had a dodgy session ID. But otherwise, check to see if this session ID appears on the store basket table. So I'm going to say this load module, store basket, and query this store basket get where custom, and I'm going to get where session ID is this session ID, and then I'm going to get the number of rows. Okay, and I'll just echo the number of rows out just now so we can see what's happening. Okay, so we've got one on, that's cool. And the vibe is, if, I might as well do this down here, if the number of rows is less than 1, then we're going to redirect, okay? So can you see that we've checked that the session ID is cool? You can handle the vibe, right? So that's pretty cool. So all I'm going to do now is just return the session ID. So there you go, folks. We have checked the session ID and we've now returned the session ID. Okay, so that's that, and that is pretty good. So back to this index thing here. The session ID, if the third bit's not empty, it's going to try and get the session ID from this vibe here. So the cool thing is, if we bring this page up now and refresh, right, you know how sometimes that was clearing if we were inactive for a while? Well, we could go for, you know, a 2-hour walk, and if we come back and hit refresh, that's still there, right? Which is kind of cool. Do you agree? I think it's kind of cool as well. Yes, it is kind of cool as well. So here's something else that we can do though, which is even more awesome. Now this is a little bit tricky to get your head round, so just take a deep breath. Everything is cool. This is going to be easy. Actually, I'm looking at this cart thing. I just noticed something. Cart contents, public. Let me align the shipping over to the right if that's cool. Where on earth is it? Style equals text align right. Okay, here we go. Okay, cool. The other thing that I wanted to show you folks is very cool indeed, but as I say, it's a wee bit tricky to get your head round. I had to pause the video there and have a think for myself. So check this out, right? We have a thing in the third segment, and we've got this vibe check and get session ID. Now look at all of these checks and whatnot. If there is anything uncool about this third segment, the person's going to be sent back to the home page. Can you handle that? Okay, so let's just follow the logic here, right? The thing is loading up this cart view file. Let's bring it up. Views cart, right? So it's bringing that up, and then it's doing cart attempt draw checkout button, right? So let's bring that up, have a quick look. Attempt draw checkout button, right? So the vibe is we can say third bit is this URI segment 3, okay? Now remember, we've checked the third bit, we've done our diverts and whatnot. If there's anything uncool, they're never going to be here. So we can do a little modification here. We can say, if not is numeric shopper ID and the third bit is empty, then we draw the checkout button fake, okay? Otherwise, we're going to draw the real checkout button. Let me just show you that. So if we hit refresh, okay, I've not made the thing for drawing the real one. Let me just do that right now. Checkout button real, and actually, we don't even have a view file, right? Okay, so draw checkout button. I'll just say real. Okay, and I'll just say echo real checkout button here. Hit refresh. See, it's the real checkout button. And some of you folks are looking thinking, well man, why does it look so rubbish? You know, how come you never made it green like you said you were going to do? Well, I am making this up as I go along, folks. And I've decided that in this instance, when we've got this vibe going on here and everything is cool, I'm not going to just give them some rubbish green button. I'm going to give them a special button that's going to send them off to PayPal with everything we need, and it's going to be super cool. So that is probably what's going to come up in the next video, probably, unless I decide to backtrack and cover the create customer account stuff. Okay, I hope this has been good. Thank you very much. Stay cool. Bye.